I'm Jaime. I'm going to be the engineer showing Smartnetics today. I will share my own screen. Sorry about that. Okay, so as Miriam said, this is one of the software applications, let's say, we are developing in Power Smart Control. In this case, I'm going to cover the magnetic design tool, and instead of providing like a general approximation, I will be conducting a live demo of how to design a transformer. For this particular example, what we want to do is we're going to try to cover one of the challenges we face when we make power converters, because as Miriam said, we also make the converter as a whole. We are a company centered in power converters, okay? And in many converters, we have the same problem. We need to design a magnetic component, an inductor, a transformer, whatever, for a given specification. For example, for the worst voltage case or the worst current or whatever. But then at the same time, we need to check how it's going to behave in a different situation with another voltage or another power or whatever. For that, we can use magnetics in two different ways. In the first place, if you need to design a device, you can generate every combination of parameters that provide a device that can handle the specified current or voltage, that can handle the power, that can provide the inductance you need, etc. And then you can select the one that is best suited for you, because you need the one with the lowest losses or the cheapest or whatever you understand as the best design for your converter. And the other application of our tool is not to design, but to analyze a device. In the case that you have an already designed device and you want to check how it is going to behave under different perturbations or with a different cooling technology, etc., you can use our tool to analyze that device. Then, once you have either designed or analyzed your device, you can also export your design to third-party tools. To FEM, for example, for 2D simulation, to ANSYS or to FLAX for 3D FEM simulations. You can also export that to PSIM in this new version, and I'm going to cover that in this example. Okay. This is normally the workflow in Smartnetics. So you have your data, your current, your voltage, whatever. You can configure what you want or don't want to use for your design. For example, what geometries of the ones you have in the database you want to consider or not. Then you run your design, you select one of the designs, and then you can analyze it and export it to third-party tools. When you are making a design, this is usually an iterative process. So you make a design, you see that it has, I don't know, too many losses. So you decide to add more wires or more cores to the database or something like that. And you go back and forth until you get your final design. If instead of designing, you are analyzing a design, you only have two steps. You put your data, your current voltage, etc. You analyze your design. If you have already done that, you can change your voltage to see how it is going to behave under a different perturbation, and back again, etc. Okay, and today we're going to use both aspects. Okay, I'm going to carry out an example of something we are currently doing in smart control, in Power Smart Control, which is we are designing a transformer, which is not a single device itself. It's part of a set of magnetics we are designing. So the geometry and the material are set. We need to use this particular geometry and 3C94 material. And for this particular transformer, we're going to handle a 350 volts sinusoidal signal, a 30 amps sinusoidal current with 50 kilohertz and a touch ratio of 1:1. Okay? Once we have designed that, we're going to analyze how it is going to behave in a different scenario, maybe with a different voltage, different current, etc. Okay? Instead of using the slides, what I'm going to do today is to just do a live demo with the. Okay. So this is Smartnetics. Many of you, I guess, have already seen that, but this is the first screen you see when you enter Smartnetics. You can design either an inductor or a transformer. I'm sorry about this. You can design either an inductor or a transformer, and depending on what you're designing, you need the minimum amount of data. For example, if you're going to design an inductor, the only thing you need to tell the tool is the inductance you want to achieve and the current you need to handle. For the transformer, you need to provide the turns ratio you want to achieve and the primary current and voltages. Okay? For this particular example, as I was saying before, we need to handle 30 amps and 350 volts. So we just write it in here, 30 amps and 350 volts and 50 kilohertz. So it was already set. Okay? This is the minimum amount of data you need to provide. And you can already run the design procedure with just this data. If on top of that, you want to configure anything, you can configure everything in our tool. You have access to everything. In this case, I'm just going to touch a few things just to show what we usually do. So for example, in configuration, you have many cores. In this case, we are limited for this particular project to only this geometry. So this is the only one I'm going to activate in the database. We also have a single available material for this project. So I'm going to leave this as it is. And then you can select which conductors you want to use. We have leads, we have rigid wire, etc. I will leave this as it is. The tool will automatically consider any possibility that you activate in here. You can let the tool decide the wire, but impose the same wire for primary and secondary, which is usually the cheapest solution when you're going to manufacture it. Then you can select which conductor materials to add, which insulation, etc. It's up to you, but you don't really need to change anything. If you leave everything as is, most designs can be done with the default configuration. The same goes for everything that has any impact in the design. In the next tab, we have device parts, so you can configure anything that has any impact on core, on conductors, on insulators, on the bobbin, etc. For this example, I'm going to leave everything as it is because it suits most designs. We have done our test and this is a good configuration for most designs. The only thing I'm going to change is in here, I know I am restricted to a particular geometry, the E55 I selected before, but I don't have a particular restriction on how many cores I can stack in parallel. So for this example, I will increase this, okay? Because the current and the voltage are high enough to need more cores, okay? As I was saying, you can leave everything else as is, and I will just run the design by pressing in here, okay? As you can see, in Smartnetics, we don't provide a single solution that we say is the best for some reason. Because for any particular project, the definition of best changes. For example, in some projects we need the cheapest one, in others we need the one with the lowest losses, or the one that is easiest to manufacture, or etc. Any possible definition of best. So what we do is we provide every possible combination of the parameters in the database that provide a suitable design. And then the user can select the one that they prefer based on whatever the definition is for best for that particular project. The good thing about this is you have 4 graphs at the same time. So you have 8 variables and you can select what variable to see in every of the axes, okay? You have access to any variable that has any impact in the design. The DC resistance of the primary side, for example, or the length of the wire, or the permeability, or whatever is important for you in your particular design, okay? Once you have selected the variables, what you can do here is you can click and drag and select any point or any set of points in here, and you can see the impact of that decision in every other variable. For example, if you decide you want to use the devices with the lowest weight, which are these ones, you can see that they have somewhat high losses, a very high temperature. You have a distribution in here of the DC resistance, etc. Okay. This way is how we like to design using Smartnetics. We select this set, then let's say from this set, I only want the ones with the lowest temperature, so you can see how it is being restricted in every axis, etc. For this particular project, this temperature will be way too much for our designs, so I will only select these two designs in here, which are the two that have a maximum temperature lower than 100 degrees. Once you have selected two or just a set of devices, you can process to the next step, which is selection. Okay, up to here you can only see 8 variables, and you can really see the numbers just more or less. In the next step, in selection, you can see every detail, every numerical detail of those devices. For example, as you can see here, they are more or less the same. They use the same core, same material, the same number of stacked cores, etc. The main difference is in here. The first one uses 7 turns in the primary and 7 in the secondary, and the second one 8 and 8. That difference in turns affects many things. For example, the DC resistance is a little bit different, is higher in the one that has a higher number of turns. Of course, the wire losses are similar, but a little bit higher in the one that has a higher number of turns. But there's a big difference in here in the core losses. I was expecting. Okay, so the one with the highest number of turns has a lower peak-to-peak B field that in turn gets a lower core losses, and that changes the maximum temperature we're going to achieve. Okay, so for this particular design, if the only difference is 1 turn and we can reduce the temperature by 10 degrees and almost half not half, but reduce by a lot the core losses, I will select the second one. Okay, this one here. Once you have selected one, you can press in here in select design, and I want you to take a look in here in device. You can not access device now because there are many devices, but once you have selected a single one and press in here, this icon in here becomes active. Okay, so now for the single device you have selected, you can see the main parameters. For example, the geometry. This is a simplified representation of what you're going to build. Okay, so these are the lead wires you selected, the core that was fixed for this particular project. As you can see, we have 4 cores stacked in here. This is the window filling that we have selected, etc. And you also can take a look at the performance that you're going to expect from this device. For example, the temperature distribution. As we saw before, we are in a device close to 100 degrees, so you can see the temperature distribution in core, in primary and secondary winding, in the lateral part of the core, in the bottom and top of the core, etc. Okay, just a small set of points, just 6 temperatures, but a very good approximation of what is going to happen in real life with your device. Okay, just 1 second. Well, with this part, we have already covered the first step, the first thing you can do with Smartnetics. Okay, but if you remember, I said that there are 2 possible approximations for this. The one is to design. You put your input data, you configure your design, you design your device, you select one, and you analyze it. But the other option is to analyze in depth a design that you have already made. For example, to check how your device is going to behave under different voltages, currents, cooling options, etc. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, what I did before is to design a device. I have many possibilities. I select one of them, the one that I prefer, but that is not what I want to do now, because this is for a given voltage, current, etc. What I want to do now is to set the design to a single solution, to the one I decided, and then check how it is going to behave under different specifications. To do that, what we can do is, instead of providing the tool a whole range of possibilities that end up being hundreds of possible designs, if I restrict everything to a single solution, I will get a single solution in here. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. We can go to configuration, to general, and we can set the design parameters. In here, you can see that everything is empty or 0, which is empty for us. which means that the tool can try to make a transformer with any number of turns, any number of wires in parallel, any conductor, etc. Instead of that, what we want to do is we want to restrict that to only the one that we have selected. So I'm only going to allow that to have 8 turns because this is the one I want. So 8 turns. The device I selected only uses one wire in parallel for primary and secondary. So only one in here. And the device I selected, sorry, here, uses 4 cores stacked in parallel, okay? That can also be seen in here. We have 4 cores in here. So I will restrict my design to only 4 cores, okay? As you can see, you don't need to set everything. The tool will try any parameter that is not set to a given value. And in this case, since we are only allowing 1 core material in the database and 1 core geometry, we don't need to set that to any value, okay? So now, if everything is set, when I click on design again, instead of hundreds of possibilities, I will only have one, because now there is a single combination that matches everything that I have set the tool to. So when I click in here, I have a single one, okay? This is the same one I had before. A temperature close to 90 degrees, 4 cores, 8 turns, etc. I go in here. As you can see, this is the same device I selected before, because now I have set everything to a fixed value, so there's a single solution. What's the good thing about this? Now what I can do is to check how the device is going to behave under different perturbations. For example, I can change the current or the voltage, press design again, and see how temperature changes or how losses change, etc. For this particular example, I'm going to try one of the new additions in this Smartnetics release, which is a different cooling strategy. In models, we have access to everything we use for the calculation, so the loss models, the inductance models, etc. You can select the one you prefer for the core loss or solid loss or whatever, or leave it by default, because by default we have selected the most precise ones, so these are usually the best ones. And in here you have a new option that is brand new in this release, which is to consider fan cooling, okay? If you include a fan in your design, you can select the airflow in cubic meters per second or CFM or meters per second if you want to use the speed of the air. You can select the width of the fan, the position, if you want the fan on front, on top, on bottom, etc. Any units in here. I will leave everything by default because this is just for this particular example. And then once you have changed the specifications, in this case, the cooling, you can run your design again. Up to this point, we had a 90 degrees temperature, more or less, and more or less 11.6 watts, and I will press on begin magnetic design, sorry. Okay, as you can see, as was expected, the temperature has decreased dramatically because obviously we add a fan is to reduce the temperature. The losses have also changed because in the calculations we take into account the temperature to calculate wire losses. So for a lower temperature, we have a lower wire resistance and so a lower wire loss. And this is how the same device is going to behave under a different cooling option. I will go to the next step. The device, as you can see, is still the same. So I will select it. The device is still the same 4 cores, the same wires, etc. Because I have set everything to a given value, but the perturbations are different. The same current, the same voltage, but a different cooling option. If I go to the next tab, to performance, we can see the impact of that new cooling option. Instead of something close to 90 degrees, we now are in something close to 45 degrees in the winding, 45 in the center of the core. The external parts of the core are a little bit colder, as was expected, so 42 degrees, something like that, okay? So thanks to this, instead of running a new design for a new cooling option, we are analyzing what is going to happen to our device with a different cooling option. That is not restricted to something that you have designed in Smartnetics. For example, let's say you have an already made device that is already operating in your converter, but you want to check how your device is going to operate in another converter with a different current or a different voltage or a different cooling. You can do that in here. Or for example, let's say you have a problem which is the opposite of what we have. You have a device that has a fan cooling it, but you need to know what is going to happen if the fan fails and you are not having that cooling in your converter. So if you convert, obviously your magnetic device is going to become hotter because you don't have a fan anymore, but maybe you need to know if it's hot enough so it will break or that it can withstand the losses for some time without burning your device and whatever is close to it. So this is what you can do, for example, with this tool. And last, the other thing we can provide in here, I will go back to my presentation, is to validate the design using third-party tools. And this is what I'm going to do now. One of the new additions in this release is the Sport2 FEM, which is a 2D finite element simulation tool. And in here you can generate the FEM model. Okay? With this, you generate a representation of the same thing you have designed in our tool, and then you can export it to FEM either in this computer or in another computer if you send them this file, or in this computer but another time, etc. I will press in here, launch FEM, and it automatically starts FEM and starts building your device. Okay. The good thing about this is FEM is a FEM with 2 M's. I mean, is a free tool, so anybody can install it, and it can very fastly run 2D simulations. Obviously, it is not as accurate as a 3D simulator, but it is a very good approach. Okay, and the tool automatically does every analysis it needs to get all the parameters we need. So the inductances, the resistances, the losses, etc. On top of that, we know that we have some problems when running a 2D simulation, and we automatically provide a solution for that to the user. And I will show that in here. Okay. In here you can see the parameters we can get from the simulation. So the inductances, the magnetizing and leakage, the resistances in the T-model. We also provide the data in a matrix solution if you prefer. So the self and mutual inductances. You can see the losses in here, the core losses, the wire losses, sorry, in this case, because this is a current perturbation. And as you can see, you have two definitions for the losses, the primary and secondary losses, or the compensated primary and secondary losses. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this and why we provide this to the user automatically done. I will go back to Smartnetics and press F1, which is the way to go to help. And in here you can see the help of our tool. And I will go to this. Sorry, to this first. The good thing about 2D simulators is that they are very fast. The bad thing about 2D simulators is that they only simulate one slice of your problem and multiply that by the length of the core. So in reality, you are simulating something close to a 3D simulation, but only including that part in here, only the part of the wire that is inside the core. So the wires that are outside the core are not considered in the simulation. One way to compensate for that is to assume that the resistance of the wire depends on the length of the wire. So these wires, even though they are out of the core, have some resistance. And the leakage inductance also depends on the amount of wire you have. So the longer the wire, the higher the inductance. So a very easy way to compensate for the fact that we are not doing a 3D simulation is to compensate the difference in the length of this wire, the simulated one, over the length of the real wire, the one that has some length out of the core. Okay, and we provide that automatically done to the user. They don't need to change anything in the simulation to do anything. You have the result in here already compensated. Okay, when you have run the simulation, you can check if our calculations were good. For example, in this case, the primary winding loss is 2.4 watts, more or less, and the secondary winding loss is 2.8 watts, more or less. If I go back to my selection, I can see that in here. Okay. So while 1, 2.5, while 2, 2.8 something. So a very good approximation of what we are getting after checking that with a finite element tool. Okay. So this is what we provide in the magnetics, a very fast calculation and a very accurate one. And in case you need a higher accuracy, because you need to check the current distribution or the real magnetic field distribution or something like that, you can automatically export that to a third-party tool without the need to learn how to use that third-party tool. For example, one of the perks of this particular tool, FEM, is that it is free, but the downside of that is that it is very, very, very hard to use. If you have not automated the process to generate your device in here, is very tiring to create a magnetic in here, step by step, every wire, every core, etc. And if you have to modify your wires for some reason or to add a gap for some reason, it takes double that time. And with our tool, you can automatically do that. You get this report and you don't need to do anything. You don't even need to know what is the button you need to click to run the simulation, okay? Everything is automatically given for you. Once you have, I will close this. Once you have validated your losses, you can validate another thing, for example, your temperature distribution. In this case, instead of a 2D simulation, I'm going to use ANSYS IcePack and simulate the temperature. Okay? You can configure everything in the simulation. You can select if you want to include your wire sleeves or not, your bobbin, your insulators, etc. And you can do the same thing you did before. You can generate a model of your device, and you can run the simulation in this computer, or if you don't have, for example, an ANSYS license in here, you can send your model to a different person that has a ANSYS license and run the simulation in another computer. In this case, I will launch the simulation in here because ANSYS has provided us a license for this kind of demos. And you will see how it creates the model, in this case in 3D, automatically of whatever you have designed in the tool. So it automatically maps the core geometry you selected, the core material, the wires, the perturbations, everything is mapped in here. The same thing that you selected. And you don't, once again, need to know anything about the tool. Everything is automatically exported, etc. In this case, I will just change something because I forgot something. I will erase this. I will include the fans because that's what I want to show today. Okay, so, and I will export again. In ANSYS, you will see a very accurate reproduction of your device, as I was saying, including the wire sleeves even, or the insulation, everything. And in this new release, since we have added the option to calculate your temperature using a fan, you can also export the same fan to ANSYS. So I will show that in a moment. Okay, so this is the ANSYS model of your magnetic device, and the fan is included in here. It's this square in here. Okay, and it is configured with the same stuff you have selected in here. So the same flow, etc. In this case, I'm not going to run the simulation because it is a 3D simulation and it is something very that takes a lot of time, but I have already done that this morning, and I will open the solution. Once again, as you can see, this is the same model I used in S-Magnetics, the same 4 cores, the same wires, the same insulation, etc. And we will see in here, because it is already solved, the temperature distribution, and you can also see, if you want, the velocity of the air in every place, etc. Okay. In this particular moment, I'm not too interested in the air velocity, so I will hide those graphics, and we will show the temperature distribution. Okay, I will zoom in just so we see it more clearly. Sorry about this. Okay, so this is the real temperature distribution we're expecting. Okay, and which is the good thing about having a 3D finite element simulation. And as you can see, the matching between what we were expecting and what we are getting is very good. Okay, so in here we were expecting a maximum temperature in the wire of 45.7 degrees, 45.2 or something like that in the core, and as you can see, this is very close. I'm sorry about this, to what we're seeing in the simulation. I will try to zoom in so we see everything. Sorry about the colors. Okay, so the maximum temperature in here is 46.8, so very close to this. And the good thing about this is you can get very accurate results for a single simulation, once you have decided the device you want, which will take some minutes or even hours, depending on the accuracy you need. And the good thing about our tool is that you can run this simulation for hundreds or thousands of devices. Okay, so you have a mix of a very high number of simulations with just a few points for the temperature calculation, and then a single very accurate simulation for the device you have selected. Okay, which is the good thing. And the next good thing about this, let's say, is that once again, the same as in FEM, for example, you don't need to know anything. You don't need to know how to use ANSYS. You don't need how to export your materials or your fan or anything. Everything is configured for you. The only thing you need to know to do is run the simulation, get the results, check the temperature distribution you have, etc. And that's all. Okay. And then the last thing we can provide, which is something that is also new in this release, is we have already exported to PEM for an electromagnetic validation of our design. To ANSYS, IcePack in this case, for a thermal validation of our design. The other thing we can do is we can export to PSIM for an, let's say, circuit validation of our design. Thanks to this, you can export your design, including everything, including wire losses, core losses, leakage inductance, magnetizing inductance, etc., and check if your device with the real values, the real resistances, inductances, etc., is going to perform as expected in your converter. For example, in this case, we have these different models, which are the ones present in PSIM. I will open the help again. Sorry. In PSIM, we have the ideal transformer, the transformer that includes inductances and resistances, a transformer made by devices, made by a winding, another winding, and a core, etc. And all of them are available in Smartnetics. The same with inductors. You have regular inductors, inductors that take into account saturation, inductors that are made by core, gap, and inductor and winding, etc. I'm going to use this one, which is the one that includes losses and parasitic inductances, and the procedure is the same. In here, you can generate the PSIM model, sorry. If you have PSIM in this same computer, you can launch PSIM in here. And it will do the same. It will automatically launch PSIM, create a transformer, and if I don't have a valid license because somebody is using that, I cannot launch PSIM. I'm very sorry about that. But you could do the same stuff. I will try again in a few minutes to see. I don't know if one of my colleagues, Marcos or Miriam, can ask our colleagues to lend me the license for 5 minutes. I just want to show this. But I will just, in the meantime, open the help files, and this will be automatically generated in PSIM. So you can try this in your whole circuit, and if you want to see something, you can also even include the perturbations. So we will reproduce in PSIM the same voltage, the same current, everything. Even if you don't use a sinusoidal signal. If in here you choose a file and you load a CSV file to define your voltage or your current, you can export that same signal to PSIM to check if your device is going to saturate, when it is going to saturate, how that saturation is going to impact, for example, your dual-active bridge or any converter you have, to see if that is going to impose some problems in the switches or in the capacitors, etc. All of that is provided just by clicking in here. I will press again So hopefully I have a license now.
Yes, I hope so, Jaime.
I don't know if I have a license now. Sorry. Let me check because I guess I'm overwriting something now because it failed in the first time. Just 1 second. I'm very sorry about this, but this is what happens when you do a live demo of this. I will erase everything, generate it again, and launch it. No, I don't think I have access to the license yet. No. But yes. Oh, maybe I have. Oh, okay, nice. Okay. Okay, so this is what you get when you export that to your to PSIM. You have already this one configured in here. You can have your current and voltage perturbations provided to you. You have the real resistance, inductance, magnetizing inductance, number of turns, etc. Everything in the same model PSIM uses, and then you can just copy your device and then paste it in another circuit, in your converter, in whatever it is you want to simulate your circuit in, and you have access to all of these values without, once again, knowing anything about the PSIM. You don't even have to input anything by hand in here, okay? So this one is the last step we have in the export options. We have more things going on in Smartnetics, but I don't have time to show everything now. But I hope that you have got the point of how to design with Smartnetics, how to analyze a design in Smartnetics, and the capabilities we have to export to third-party tools. The last thing you can do is you can even create a report of everything that you have made in here. If you press in here, you can generate a report in which you include, obviously, the same images you have seen in our tool. You can include the materials you need to buy to build your device, the main parameters of your device. For example, in here, you can see the manufacturing parameters you need to build your devices. In here, you can see the amount of material you need to buy to make one of the devices, the meters of wire or the kilograms, depending, the amounts of cores, etc. You can see the current you use for the design options you use, everything that you have used in our tool. And you can select what to include and what not to include in your report in case you want different reports for your sales team or for your buying team or for your engineer people, etc. Okay, so you can select that. This is the last thing I want to show about the Smartnetics. I will go back to my presentation. So just to show you what we have already done, this was our short-term hope for this year, and we have already covered these 3 ones, which were the most important ones. So we're hoping to cover everything else this year. And later on, we have many things we are including to Smartnetics because we are constantly developing this tool, and you will see them in the future. Because this tool is not only something we sell, it is the same tool we use internally for our designs because we make our converters and we make magnetic devices. So this is something we are constantly improving. Okay, so this was all for me. It was the live demo I was expecting to provide. I will go back to Miriam, and now if you have any question, you can ask anything in the chat. You can, I will try to solve the issues now. And you have access to us via our email, our LinkedIn accounts, etc. So if you have any other question later on, you can also send that and I will try to answer them. And we think that the best way to see what Smartnetics can do is not just to see the webinars, it's also to try Smartnetics. So if you ask us for a trial version, we can provide a trial version. So you can try Smartnetics, you can see if that fits your needs for your particular project, and we are very happy to deliver that. Okay. So I will go back to Miriam if you want to share your screen.
Okay, so thank you very much, Jaime. There are some questions in the Q&A section. You can go over there and try to answer them. And
Okay.
yeah, and yes, I forgot to say it before, but as Jaime said, the best way to see all the things that you can do with cybernetics is with a trial. So you can ask for the trial. You will find the form in our webpage, as well as in the resources part. You will find some tutorials that we have developed. And yeah, in this new, if you ask for the trial, you can see also this new feature, so you can also try them. The trial is already updated, and you will have the last version for 15 days. Yeah, I think that. Do you want to answer the questions, Jaime?
Yeah, no, I will solve the questions that we have in the question and answer section. I don't know if you have access to them, so I will read them out loud. So the first question is by Son. Is the fundamental frequency is usually 50 or 60 hertz. How come you have the 50 K AC transformer? Well, I am not designing a grid transformer, so for 50 or 60 hertz. This is the transformer that goes inside a power converter, which is our expertise on. So in this particular case, we're making a dual active bridge, switching at 50 kilohertz. So that is the transformer that you have seen. Okay, instead of using the real voltages and currents, which are triangles or squares, I have used sinusoidal for simplicity. But this tool is specifically intended for power converters, not for grid transformers. Okay, we are using ferrite, not something that we would use for 50 hertz. Okay. The next question is, can all of the solutions be exported in table form? Not in this particular release, but we're working on that. So maybe we will have a small release later this year with just an export option to generate an Excel file or a CSV file or something like that. I assume we are talking about, I will share my screen again, exporting, sorry about this, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it is. I am assuming we are talking about exporting this table in here, or this, even if they are hundreds of designs. We're working on that. We will provide an option to export, as I was saying, to an Excel file or to a CSV file or something like that. That's going to come soon in the future. Okay. So you see, so all of these, they are in here, and we will provide a way to export this so you can use them in other softwares, or you can then filter your design in some way you prefer, or you want to include the designs in the procedure to design the whole converter or something like that. Okay, we're working on that. Back to the questions. This is the same. Okay, so as I was saying, this is intended for a power converter, not for a grid converter. Okay.
Jaime, you have another question in show the comment in the same
Yeah.
section.
In the same section, yeah.
You press in mostrar comentario, show comment.
And there's another question below
Okay. Okay,
Yeah, it's inside the same question.
Okay, so the next question about this is, how is the cost calculated? Just number of tons, course size, and material is fixed for each simulation. So the cost is calculated only taking into account the materials. Okay, so the cost that we talk about, I will share my screen again. You can see the cost in here at the end, the total cost. So this is just the cost of the materials. In here you have a description of the total cost. So the core is, let's say, 9 euros, the insulation is 1 euro, for example, and the wires are another 9 euros, for example, something like that. But we're only talking here about the material cost. So we don't talk about the shipping cost or the manufacturing cost, etc. Okay, this is only talking about the device itself once it is manufactured and just paying by the materials. So once again, this is something that the user can take into account when selecting a device. Maybe you have a device that is very cheap in materials, but it's very hard to manufacture. So it may not be the best one for your project if you are going to manufacture 2,000 of them. But if it's for a single prototype, maybe it's good enough. Okay. So this is the reason we provide not a single solution, but many solutions, so the user can select the one that is best for their particular needs. Okay. And the rest of the question was
about the convection coefficient.
Yes,
No,
course size and
no, it's at the beginning of the chat right now.
yeah, no, but I'm reading that in here. It
Okay.
says course size and material is fixed for each simulation. I don't know if I'm understanding the question. So, if I'm not understanding wrong, once you have selected a particular one, any device, you can export that to ANSYS. Okay. So, if you select a different one, for example, one with I don't know, another material, let's say this one, for example, I don't care. If you export this one, the material in ANSYS will be this one. Okay, so ANSYS will reproduce whatever you have selected in here. You can even create a fake material, okay, because we are not using the ANSYS database. We are reproducing in ANSYS whatever you select in here. So if you create a different material that doesn't even exist because you want to try something, for example, it will be replicated in ANSYS. And once again, you don't even need how to use ANSYS. You will automatically get the material in there. If you want to modify that in ANSYS, you can as well. You can go to ANSYS, you have access to the whole model. So you can go in here and modify, for example, the values of this. Then you can say, no, I want this same material, but with a different thermal conductivity. You can change that if you want. Okay, you have access to everything. And you can, as I was saying, you can change that in our database. You can change this value and have a different permeability or a different thermal conductivity or whatever you want to do. Okay. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I think the question is clear, Jaime. And
Okay.
we have another question regarding the convection coefficient.
The what?
The convection coefficient. We have a question on the chat. The second from Sim.
Yeah,
Okay.
for temperature prediction, yeah.
Yeah, for temperature prediction, can you change the convection coefficient? Not per se, because we're not working with a convection coefficient. What you can do, I will share my screen again. I shouldn't stop sharing my screen. What you can change in here is, since you add a fan in here, you can change the value of the airflow in cubic meters per second, or CFM or meters per second, and you can change the position of the fan. But then the calculations are all done with analytical equations that consider the particular shape of your device, the weight you have used, etc., the materials, and the fan you are using. So we don't at the moment we don't have any coefficient that you can change per se to, let's say, multiply everything by 1.1 or something like that, because we're not working with this kind of simplifications. We're working with the analytical equations that define the heat transfer between your device and the air that is moving around it. Okay, so not at the moment. What you can change is you can try a different fan, for example. So you can use a fan that has a 10% more airflow or something like that, but not. There's no a single coefficient that can change that. Okay, I think there's nothing else.
Yes, I think that's all. So if there's no more questions, thank you very much for attending to this webinar. We will send you as soon as possible the recording, and we will also load it in our YouTube channel. Yeah, if you have any other questions, do not hesitate in contacting us through our emails or also through our LinkedIn page. And as we said before, don't lose the opportunity to ask for a trial and try yourself the software. So thank you very much. Thank you, Jaime.
Thanks a lot for attending. Hope you enjoy.